Hey, wait, I'm Todd. I will be a TA for this class. Could you please make me a co-host?
Yeah, I'll do that soon as I get host back. Kevin's still
Thank
working on the push.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, wait, your stream is live now, and I have made Todd your co-host.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Welcome.
Hello?
Hey, okay, good morning. Hey, is that Rosa?
Good morning.
Hi, Rosa. How are you?
Hey, I'm well, Wade. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks.
Good. Very good.
Everybody else should be joining us in just a couple more minutes.
Okay.
If you wanted to turn on your video, that's down in the right there beside the mute. It's not mandatory. I know it's early in the morning.
Yes. It just hopefully this I don't get cut off for some reason with my laptop. It kind of goes in and out. So
Oh, okay. Well, if it does, you can probably log back in again and catch up.
that happened to me on yesterday, and when I tried, I couldn't get back in. It kept telling me that the session had ended.
Huh. Okay. I'm not sure unless it was right at the end. Did you lose it right at the end of the class?
Actually, it was right probably maybe about 10 to 15 minutes into the session. And so, well, I did end up calling in, but for some reason I couldn't get back on the laptop.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if that happens again, probably best thing to do is to send an email to help@getsetup.io and see if they can figure out what's happening there. But hopefully it was just a fluke.
Hopefully.
Hey, morning, Terry. How you doing?
Good.
Good to see you this morning.
Thank you. You too.
Good morning. This is Carolyn.
Hey, Carolyn. How are you today?
I'm fine. I hope everyone else is doing well.
Oh, it's a bright sunny morning here in North Carolina, so
yes,
we're doing well.
Absolutely. I'm in North Carolina too. I thought I heard you say that the other day. Are you in Charlotte?
I'm in Southport, just
Oh,
just outside of Wilmington.
oh, okay. I'm in Charlotte.
Charlotte,
Yeah.
okay. Yep, know where it is well. Been there a few times. I lived in Raleigh for about 18 years, but been
Okay.
over here for about 4 years now.
Yeah, you like it there
I
by the
do.
ocean?
Yeah, we do. My
Yeah.
wife goes to the beach almost every day.
Oh, wow, that must be nice.
That is nice. Oh, okay. Let's see. Hi, Nelda. How are you?
Hello.
Good morning. And let's see. Wendy, are you there?
I'm here. I'm
Hi, Wendy.
I'm in California. It's early.
It is early. Okay. So, I was going to tell everybody that if you want to turn your video on, it's down at the bottom, right beside your mute and unmute. But I know it is earlier for some of us than others. I'm on the East Coast, so it's 10 o'clock here. But thank you for joining us so early, Wendy. Hi, Michelle.
Hi there.
Welcome. Glad to have you here. Okay. See, that's Brenda. Are you there?
I am here, also from California. It's a little cool.
Okay. Another early riser. Thank you. And Stephanie. Can you hear Stephanie? Notes here. Okay, haven't heard from Stephanie. Okay, who else is here? Michael?
Morning to you all.
Okay, welcome. Thanks, Michael.
Morning.
Okay. Maria, are you there? I do see Joan, you're here and unmuted.
Yes.
Oh.
Hey, good morning.
Hi, Maria. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi. Joan, can you hear us okay?
I can. Good morning.
Okay, I got two Joneses here today. So you must be Joan Brummett.
Yes.
All right. And I see the other Joan is coming in. Joan Ramsey, can you hear me? I think she's still connecting.
Yes, I can hear you. Good
All right, there
morning.
you are. Okay, great. And so you'd go by Joanne? Oh, yeah,
Yes.
it is Joanne instead of Joan. Okay, good. I can keep you
Yes.
straight then. All right. We usually take the first 4 to 5 minutes and give people a chance to log in and get their technology working. And I think I've heard from everyone here, which is the main thing. Again, if anyone wants to show their video, it's right beside the mute and unmute. So we'd love to see you if you want to, but I do know it's early in the morning, so certainly is not mandatory. The mandatory part is that I can hear you and you can hear me, so we can communicate. So I think we've accomplished that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with some of the housekeeping issues. We'll probably have a couple more people join us before we're done, but let's get the preliminaries out of the way because we got a lot to cover this morning. I'm going to start by sharing my screen. And hang on one second. There we go. Do something else first. All right, now let me share my screen. All right, and I'm going to move your pictures over to my other monitor so I can see you over here. So if you see me looking over here, I'm not looking out the window, even though it is a beautiful day out there. With Zoom, I have to keep the blinds closed, which is kind of a bummer, but that's the world we live in these days. All right. Most of you are already muted. I will end up muting everyone several times during the course of the session. Whenever I hear background noise or anything, I will go ahead and just mute everyone. So before you ask a question, and hopefully you will ask questions, just remember to check and see if you're muted. And if you are, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question. No reason to raise your hand or anything, just unmute and ask away. And I'm also going to have the chat window open here. So if you are having trouble with your microphone or you need to contact us through the chat, that is open. And we've got Todd here who is from Get Set Up that's TAing the class for me. And so he'll be monitoring the chat as well. So again, if you need to use it, go right ahead and use the chat. That is now open. All right. So that's the housekeeping issues. Let's go ahead and officially start the session. This is Excel Intermediate Topics and Tips. I want to thank you all for attending, especially early in the morning for some of you. My name is Wade Yarbrough, and I'll be the guide today. A little bit about me. I'm from Mason, Tennessee, small town just outside of Memphis, and I have a degree in experimental psychology, which is working with pigeons. I love B.F. Skinner, if anybody remembers B.F. Skinner from your college intro psych classes. But I also have always had an interest in computer science. I had a minor in computer science. So I spent most of my working career training users how to use healthcare information systems, primarily in hospitals. And I know some of you have taken several of my classes and probably getting bored hearing the same description. So I'm going to start throwing in a interesting tip. And so my interesting tip for today is that I play the banjo. Coming from Tennessee is probably not too surprising. But I love teaching individuals that are excited about learning, which is why I love working for Get Set Up. Everybody here is in the class because you want to learn about Excel, not because your employer made you take the class or it was required for your degree in college. And that is what we do try to do at Get Set Up, is to create an environment where people can learn products that they're interested in with other people that are interested in the same topic that they can interact with, and also interact with the guide. We want to make it a very comfortable, interactive environment. The session is being recorded, and any participant can request a copy of that recording by sending an email to help@getsetup.io. I'm going to put that in the chat as well. If you don't already have that in your email contacts, go ahead and copy that out of the chat and get it in your contacts. We'll talk about some other ways you might want to use that email address in the closing after the class. But it's something handy to have there. We're also live streaming the class today, so I do want to welcome anyone that's joining us via live stream. Thank you for attending it early in the morning as well. But I do want to recommend that you go ahead and sign up for classes. That way you can interact not only with the other learners in the class, but with the guide, and give you the full Get Set Up experience. And finally, Get Set Up is not paid to promote any of the products and vendors that we train on. We are purely trainers. So let's take a look at the agenda for today. This is the intermediate class. There is a basic class that precedes this that hopefully most of you have taken. It's not a required course if you've used Excel before, but there's several things I'll probably say this is covered in the basic class. So if any of those things sound interesting, you can always take the basic class after this one. It's no problem taking them in a different order. But we're going to pick up talking about functions, which was one of the last things we talked about in the basics class. We'll talk a little more about math functions, but also logic functions and text functions. We'll talk about how you deal with large spreadsheets, sorting them, filtering them, printing from them. We'll talk about creating charts from spreadsheets, and finally, how to print spreadsheets. A lot to cover today. So we're going to go ahead and bring up Excel. I'm going to narrow this down so I've got more room for Excel. And again, if there's any questions about how do you get Excel and how do you basic layout and those sorts of things, that's all covered in the basic class. So I'm assuming that hopefully you all have access to Excel already. And so I'm going to go ahead and open up the spreadsheet that I prepared for this class. And we're going to start with what I call calculators. And calculators are kind of fun things to build with Excel. I've done this a lot. So if there's something you do a lot, in this case, the scenario is that an organization I'm part of has a monthly pizza party, and I'm responsible for ordering the pizzas. And so I've got this calculator that I've built. So instead of having to do this on a regular calculator every time, I can put all the assumptions into the spreadsheet, and then it'll automatically calculate how many pizzas I need and what the cost is going to be. So we're going to build this calculator. I've already put in the assumptions. The assumptions are how many guests are going to be at the pizza party, how many slices of pizza do I expect each person to eat, how many slices are in the pizzas that we're buying, what's the cost of the pizza, and how generous do I feel in terms of a tip. And we need to now build the calculations. So this is going to be a bit of a review. These are calculations we covered in the first class to just kind of review these and get everybody in their Excel mind frame. But again, I'm going to go through these fairly quickly, but if I go over something too quickly, please unmute and ask me to explain that more or go over it again. I'll be happy to do that. So we're going to start off with some basic formulas. So in this case, I need to know the total slices of pizza that I need. So I'm going to hit the equal. All formulas and functions start with the equal sign. And in this case, the number of slices I need is the number of guests. I could type in B4. I find it much easier just to click on the cell that I want to work with instead of having to type it. So I want to have the number of slices, number of guests, times, and use the star for the times. The number of slices I expect each person to eat gives me the answer of 30. So I now know I need 30 slices of pizza. How many pizzas do I need to get 30 slices? Another equal sign. So in this case, I've got 30 slices. So I'll click there. Divided by the number of slices per pizza. Tells me I need 3.75 pizzas. I call the pizzeria. They say they don't sell fractional parts of pizzas. So I need to round this up to the number of pizzas that I want to order. So now I need to use a function. And again, if you remember, for me, the easiest way to get into the functions is just to go to the ribbon up here and click on the function sign. There's also the formulas bar, which has a lot more breakdown of the different functions, but I find this quicker and easier. So we're going to go this way. So I'm going to click on this. And if you click the down arrow, again, it's just a refresher. It has the ones you use the most often: sum, average, count, max, min. What I need is not in there, but I can click more functions and it'll bring me to this screen. And if you know what you're looking for or have a pretty good guess what you're looking for, here I'm wanting to round. So I would say I'm looking for a function that does rounding. So I type in round here and hit enter. And it shows me functions that have the word round or have something to do with rounding. That probably means the word round is in the description of the function. And here's the three ones that are used the most: rounding, which rounds up or down, depending on whether you're above or below 0.5. Always round down, always round up are the functions. So I want to round up. That sounds like what I want to do. I can click here and it tells me what that one does to verify that. Rounds a number up away from 0. So that's what I want to do, because I'd rather have extra pizza left over than send people home hungry. So I want to round up to 4 instead of rounding down to 3. So I'm going to pick that one. So I'm just going to say, okay. It brings up my function arguments that I need to provide. So the first argument is, what number do I want to round? And it's this one. And how many decimal places do I want to have? And I want to have 0. And when you're doing functions, it's always handy to look over here because it's telling you what it's doing. So I can see what the answer is going to be before I ever hit OK and make sure that looks right. And in this case, it is. I want to round from 3.75 up to 4 with no decimal places. That looks right. So I say, OK, that's right. Okay. So now I just need to figure out, what's this thing going to cost me? I'm back to formulas. Equals the number of pizzas multiplied by the cost per pizza, $48. And then my tip, that's going to be another formula, equals the pizza cost multiplied by the tip. And that then gives me my total cost for the pizza party. questions about any of the formulas, functions, or kind of what a calculator is and how it works? And of course, the nice thing about the calculator is that when I'm ready to do the next one, I can just plug in and update the assumptions. In fact, what you could do in a scenario like this is, I've done this before, is since it's a monthly thing, I can say this is the April one, and then I can copy this and maybe put it over here. And I just did a Control C and a Control V to copy and paste. And now we're getting ready for the May party. And I can vary my assumptions. So in this case, I know who I think is coming. And this time we're only going to have 13 people coming. So I changed that assumption. And last time I found out we ran out of pizza. So I'm going to change this to be 2.5. Maybe that's a better estimate. And also I found out they've upped the price. It's now $13.25 for the pizza. And so now I've got my calculator adjusted. I see what's going to cost. And also gives me a running total of what we're spending every month. So I can kind of budget going forward, especially if our guests are increasing or decreasing or staying the same, et cetera. So lots of different ways you can use this calculator concept. Questions before we move on? All right, let's move to the next sheet. And again, if you're not familiar, down at the bottom, you can have multiple sheets in a spreadsheet. I'm going to go to this sheet now. This is a spreadsheet for an organization that's a fundraising, a not-for-profit fundraising organization. And these are the people that have contributed so far. We've got a spreadsheet with all the contributors, first name, last name, street address, city, state, zip, and how much they've donated. And let me update my cheat sheet over here. And so donations aren't coming in quite as fast as the organization had hoped. So they've decided they're going to add a free gift for anyone that donates over $50. So they want me to update the spreadsheet to indicate who should be getting a gift. So I added a column here for free gift. And I'm going to use a function. So I'm going to come up here and it's not in here. So I click here. And one thing I like about doing it this way, this shows you the ones you've used most recently. So lots of times the one you're looking for is already here. I want to use the if function and it's here already. If I didn't see it, I could type if like up here like we did last time. But since it's here, I'm just going to click on it and say, okay. And so the if function basically has three components to it. One is the logic test. What am I testing? And it has to have a true or false answer. So the question, the logic test here is the donation greater than $50? So in order to put that into the formula, I just say, is the donation greater than 50? So I've got two choices. Yes, it is. No, it's not. If it's true, what do I want to do? And so I want the this free gift cell to say gift if it is over 50. So I just put a double quote. Anytime you're using text, you have to put it in double quotes and encapsulated in double quotes. So I wanted to put the word gift here if they're going to get a gift. And I'm going to leave this one blank just to show you what happens. I tell you right now, it's not the right answer, but let's go ahead and do this. And again, you can look over here and see if you think this is working right. And in this case, the donation was over $50. So the test is true. And it's going to provide the answer gift, which is what I want. So it looks like it's working. So there's my formula. Two ways I can copy this down. I'll do both in the course of the class. I'm going to first just grab the bottom right corner, drag it down, and that will copy this formula all the way down. And it worked fine. The ones that are over 50, it did say give them a gift, but this is ugly. I don't want the word false there. That looks tacky. So let's go back in, and I should have filled in that last parameter, I could delete this out and go back to the function and start over. But if you're familiar with functions, you know how they work. To add that other parameter, you just put a comma and then put that parameter in here. So I'm going to say space, double quote, space, double quote. Basically saying if it's false, just put a space in there instead of the word false. I mean, I could put in there no gift, but I think it's easier just to have it empty. And this time I'm going to just hold the left mouse button, drag it down, and use the shortcut Control D for control down. Copies the equation down, looks much cleaner. I could even center it, make it look even nicer. So now I've got that new column for whether or not that person earned a free gift. Everybody with me? Any questions? Okay. That if statement function is a very powerful one. So let's look at another way to use it. We've had a generous Texan say that anybody from Texas that makes a donation, he'll match it or he'll add $20 to it. So we need another column to figure out what's the total donation incorporating that Texas gift. So let's come over here, go back up to our functions, more functions, grab that if again. It's now moved up to the top since it's the most recent one that I've used. So now it's a little different. I'm testing based on text instead of based on numbers. Before I did a numerical test, greater than. But I can work with text as well. In this case, my logic test is this cell equal to TX? Again, you just have to put the text in double quotes. Okay. And it tells me that's false. And that is indeed false in this scenario. Ohio is not Texas. So what do I do if it's true? If it's true, I want the donation to be what they gave plus $20. If it's false, meaning they're not from Texas, then it's just whatever the donation was. And again, I can look over here and see, does that look right? And yes, they're not from Texas, so it didn't give them the $20. It looks okay. I'll say okay. And that does indeed look right. I'll copy it down using the other function just to get you used to using both of them, whichever one you like to use more. Let's check a couple. Here's one from Texas, $20, it's 40. Here's another one from Texas, 35, it's 55. So it looks like it's working. So now I've adjusted the total donation to incorporate that matching from the rich Texas donor. Questions, comments on the if before we move on?
Can you make the function like where so you could readily see which one got $20? Like, can you make it bold if they contributed the $20 in the if function?
I don't know a way to, I mean, there's other ways you could use the, just like we did here to flag it. You know, I could easily add a column over here that flagged if they got a donation.
Okay, but not in the if function. Got it.
I never say no because, but I don't off the top of my head know of a way to do that. You can concatenate functions, so there might be some way to do that one, but off the top of my head, I don't know how to do that one.
No, if it's not easy, it's okay.
Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, you could probably do a concatenated function and then say that this would be highlighted if it meets the condition, but yeah, it gets pretty ugly. But yeah, beyond the scope of this class, and I would have to play with it for probably quite a while to figure it out. But you know, I very seldom say no, Excel can't do it, because Excel has so many functions. It can probably do just about anything if you know how to do it. That would be in the advanced class. We'll have that one in the advanced class. All right, good question though. All right, we're going to keep going. If you have questions, you need to go back to something we've covered, that's okay too. We've got now, they've come to me and say, okay, we need to have the full name in one cell. We're going to use it for sending out something or whatever. They don't tell me why they need it. They just say they want to sell with first name and last name. So I'm going to put a place for it right here. So I'm just going to select here, do a right click, insert a column to the left of where I was. And we're just going to label this full name. And let's go down here. And so I need another function to do that. I'm going to come back up here to my functions. It's not one of those. Go to more functions. And it's in here because I've used it before. It's called concatenate. If I didn't know, I could, again, type, and this is a case where you kind of have to know what that is, but that is what I'm doing. I'm concatenating this field and this field together. So if you were just kind of scrolling through, looking at all the text functions, you could probably find it if you didn't know what the name was. That might be, I'll come back to this in just a second and show you another way to find it if you don't have a good guess as to what it is. But in this case, we do, it's the concat. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one. And here's the arguments, and it's basically just asking me what do I want to concatenate. So in this case, I want to take the first name. And what I need to do here is to put a space, because I don't want it to put the last letter of the first name jammed up against the first letter of the last name. I want it to be first name space last name. So I'm just going to do a quote space quote again to put in a space and pick the last name. Again, it's showing me what it's going to look like. That looks good. I can say, okay, I think that's it. We'll do the control down. And there's my names. Another trick from the first class, I'm chopping part of it off. Just going to come here and double click, and it will expand that column to be wide enough to include the widest name, which is that one. And that looks good. So I proudly show that to the people running the fund, and they said, that's great, but I needed last name first and then first name. Okay, no big problem. Let's go change this. And go grab our concat function again. And it's now moved up to the top, makes it easy to find. Works the same way, but I'm just going to now concatenate, start with the last name. I'm going to add a comma space inside my double quotes. Oops. And that didn't work. Double space or comma space, double quote. And if you're watching, it's building this up here as I'm typing. So you can kind of see what the function building. Sometimes I just focus down here, but if you want to learn how they are, so you can go in and change a function without having to come back into the little cheat sheet here. And then put what I want next. So I've got Armstrong, comma space, Sylvia. That's what I've got. Here's what it shows me down here. And I can see that I've got, and I'm going to, well, I'll fix it here. I can fix it either place. I've, instead of a comma, I've got an apostrophe. Okay. Comma space. Now, finally, there it is. Looks good. Say okay. Looks all right. Let's copy it down and we're good. All right, what I was going to show you is that if I had no idea what function did this, you could come up to formulas where it breaks them down by type of functions. And so it shows me all the text functions. And then now I could kind of scroll through this and look for something that looks like what I want to do. And concatenate, yep, that sounds like what I want to do. But lots of different text functions that you can do. So hopefully by scrolling through them, you'll find what you're looking for. If not, there's always Google. Questions on the concatenation functions there? Okay, let's go do one more and then we'll move on. Sounds like everybody's getting these pretty well. So now luckily this has worked, and now we've got 150 people that have made a donation, and they're ready to buy gifts. Now, if we only had 20 people, I could see here very easily, there's only 6 people getting a gift. But if we got 120 rows, I don't want to scroll through 120 rows and count. So I'm going to do another function here. How many gifts do I need? And this is the count if function. I want to count if the contents of that cell are a certain value. So I'm going to go back up to my, I'm going to have to go back to home to get back to my functions here. And I don't see it there, but let's just do it the other way. I know it's something to do with counting. So I just say count, and it shows me everything that has something to do with counting. Counting if it's blank, counting if it's alphanumeric, counting if, where I determine what the if is, sounds like what I want to do. Counts the number of cells within a range that meet a given condition. That sounds like what I want to do. Let's pick that one. So this one works a little different than the other ones we've done. First thing you have to do is define the range. What range of cells are you counting through? So I want to start here and count down through there. And what's my criteria? My criteria is that it has the text string GIFT in that cell. And again, it's showing me that it's gonna find 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 looks right. And so now over here, it has total number of gifts equals to 6. So I know I need to go out and buy 6 different 6 gifts. All right, questions? All right, there's no questions about functions. Let's move on to the next topic, which is working with data. And what we're going to talk about here is some of the challenges if you have large data sets. If you've got a table like this, you can see everything. It's not a big deal. If you get into larger tables, larger data sets, it introduces some problems. This is a table that has the salesperson, what region that salesperson works in, and what their sales total was for each month of the year. So if I start working my way through this table and I'm scrolling down to look at everybody, I've lost my top row. So now if I'm over here somewhere, I'm not sure what month I'm in. So what I want to do is to not lose that top row. I'm going to do a shortcut Control Home, which takes me to the upper left-hand corner of my spreadsheet. It's handy to use some of those keyboard shortcuts. And in the email that comes out after class, I'll attach a link to a website which shows you all these keyboard shortcuts I'm using. But Control Home will take you to the upper left. So I want to lock this top row in. So I'm going to go up here to View. And freeze panes is the function that we're going to be using. And here it says freeze top row. That sounds like what I'm looking for. So I'm going to click that. And let's see if that worked. And yes, it did. I'm now scrolling down through and the data, but my top row is locked. So that solves that first problem I've got. Now I'm going to start looking across the months, and okay, now I can't see my salesperson or what region they're in. So Control Home again. That only partially solved my problems. I'm gonna go back in here and unfreeze it, put it back like it was. What you can do if you want to lock rows and columns, you put your cursor where the first true data point is, because everything above and to the left of this is not a data point, it's a descriptor, it's a category label. So now I'm going to go back into freeze panes, and it kind of shows you through the icon what's going to happen. This one locks rows and columns. The one we picked first locks just rows. The one over here locks just columns. I want to lock row and column. Click that. So it's now locked all the rows above my cursor and all the columns to the left of my cursor. So now if I scroll down, I don't lose my headings. And if I scroll to the right, I don't lose my salespeople. Questions? So that's freezing panes. The other thing you might want to do with a large spreadsheet is do some sorting. So let's look at sorting. I click on the upper left-hand corner here, select the whole table, and this time I need to go into data. So I click the data, and here's sorting. Click on sort. The first thing you need to do is to tell Excel that whether or not your data has headers. So is this first row some data that I want to sort, or is this a column headings that I don't want to sort? And in my case, they are column headings. I don't want this row to get sorted down into the body of the table. If you've used sorting, you've probably made that mistake and forgotten to click that, and then all of a sudden now your headers are gone, but you can put them back. And then I decide how I want to sort it. And let's say I want to sort it by region, sort all the regions together. So this is region, I say, okay. And now it's sorted east, north, south, west together, alphabetically by the name of the region. Okay. That provided some organization here, but my salespeople are still just kind of random in here. So if I want to add more organization to it, I can come back and say, let's sort it by salesperson's last name within their region. Makes it easy to find them, especially if I've got 50 people per region instead of the 8 or 9 that I've got in this spreadsheet. So I go back into my sort. This is old habit. I always click in the upper left-hand first. And then I can add another level of sorting by clicking here, add level. So I want to sort first by region, but then I want to sort by salesperson's name, and I can go alphabetical or reverse alphabetical. I want to do it alphabetical. Say okay. And now it's sorted by salesperson name within region. So easy to do multi-level sorts. You could do another level of sorting if you want to beyond that. Do one more. And again, if you have questions, let me know. But let's say instead of sorting by name, what I'm really probably more interested in if I'm the VP of sales is I don't care what their name is. I want to know who's selling the most stuff. So I want to sort it by sales within region. So I can sort. I'm staying within region, but instead of sorting by salesperson, I want to sort by January sales. And I want to put the best performer on the top. So I'm going to switch it largest to smallest. Say, okay. And now within each region, I've got the top performer at the top going down to the lowest performer at the bottom of the list. Questions about sorting? Okay, let's look at filters then. That's the next thing I want to talk about. Another handy thing to use with large data sets. Filters are right beside sorting, so I'll click the filters. And what filters do, and you can see it gives me a little icon for each column. So let's say I'm responsible for the east and south regions. I had nothing to do with north and west. So I want to filter it just to show me my salespeople. So I click the filter, and what I usually do is to, especially on a small list like this, I unselect everything and then pick what I want to see. So I want to see the south and the east. That's my my group. And so now it just shows me salespeople in the south and the east. It changes the icon for the one I'm filtering on. So in case I forget, so I can see the fact that it has this little, it looks like a filter. It looks like this. Tells me that I filtered by this column. In case I want to put it back like it was, I can just click there and say clear the filter. And now I've got it back all the way. Maybe I'm looking just for certain salespeople for some reason. I can filter by salesperson, unselect them all, and then I go in and pick the ones that I want to see. And it just shows me those 3 salespeople. Gonna clear that one. Do another, I'll show you one other one. Again, if there's questions or if I'm going too fast, let me know. But let's say now I'm the VP of sales. I'm responsible for the whole shooting match, all the regions. And I want to know who every salesperson that sold more than a 10,000 in sales. So I can come here and I want to filter by number, and I want to filter by greater than 10,000. And you can see you can build a fairly complex equation here. You could say greater than this or less than that. So you could say greater than 1,000 and region is equal to something. So I'm going to keep it simple here. And now it just shows me the people that sold over 10,000. And there's 5 of them. Okay. Other things I can do in here, if I want to sort them, I can sort within here, largest to smallest. So now I got them ranked by the top salesman in the company down to the bottom of the people that sold over 10,000. Show you one more and then we'll move on. I'm going to clear it. And this time, I just want to see the top 5 salespeople or top 10. And so it has some built-in ones here. So top 10 is one that's already hard-coded here. So I can just say, show me the top 10. And it'll show me the top 10 salespeople. Since I was sorted by region, the whole spreadsheet is sorted by region. That's why it's sorted that way. But again, I can quickly resort it, largest to smallest. Oh. There we go. And now I've got my top 10 salespeople ranked on the list. Questions? All right, so let's go into charting. So again, this is another table. This is a bookseller. January, February, March, April, May sales by genre of book. And so I'm trying to get a handle on how my sales are looking. What's the trends in there? Typically, you're looking for trends when you're doing graphing and charting. So I select the table or the part of the table that I want to graph. Come up to insert. What I typically do is come here under recommended charts. Excel, looks at the data and will tell you the types of charts that make sense given the type of data you've got. So for instance, with this data, a pie chart wouldn't make a lot of sense because pie charts only work with one variable. So it keeps you from making a mistake there. And it'll show you some recommended charts, a clustered column. You could have a line graph, a horizontal bar, stacked bar, etc. Let's say we're going to keep it fairly simple. I just want to go with a plain old stacked column or clustered column, sorry. And so I just say, okay, and there's my chart. I can move it around on the page, put it right there. So I can quickly see that in January, mysteries sold the best, but everything since then, romance has been selling the most. So it kind of tells me what I'm looking for. You can edit the chart. You can give it a title. Whatever. So for a simple graph, it's pretty quick and easy to just pull something together. You can go in and edit it if you want to get a little more sophisticated. You can click the plus sign here, and you can do things like add a data table where it'll put the values of into the table so you can see the actual data points here. If you think that makes it look too busy, you can take that out again. Add different axes and tiers and whatever. Take the data table out and put my chart title back in. It lost my title, but it's okay. I'll just leave it like that. If I want to add an additional one, if I don't like this one, I can just delete it, but I like that one, but I want to add another one to it. So I want to see a line chart as well. If I know I want a line chart, I can just go straight here and click the down arrow and it'll give me my options. So I can have a straight line chart or I can have the data points marked. So kind of like that one. So let's go with that one. So there's my chart. I'm gonna move this over here beside that one maybe, or I can stack it underneath, probably look even better. Okay. Questions about charts? See if there's anything else that's going to show you in here. Oh, yep. So right now, it has months for each one of the charts, and then it's graphing the genre. I can flip that around and have one where it has the genre, and then the bars are for the months. So it's the same data, but I'm just flip-flopping the rows and the columns. So if I'd rather see it for my classics, how it does each month. So it gives me a little different perspective on what's going on. So maybe I look at that one and I say, man, I don't particularly like that one. You can just delete that whole chart from your sheet. All right, quiet bunch this morning. Hope it's because this is all making sense. All right. Now let's say we're ready to do some printing. And so I'm going to go up here to File and Print. And the default is it prints the active sheet as it looks. So in this case, if I printed, this is what it would print, just what I'm seeing there. But maybe I don't really want all of this. I just want to print this one chart. Let me go back to my active sheet. So I can just select what I want to print, just print that one chart that I've done. Go back to print. And now it's going to print just that one chart. So you can control what's printing. You've got several options here. Let me go back here and unselect that one. If you've selected something, your only option is to print what you've selected. If you haven't selected something, then you can say print the active sheet or print the entire workbook. So if I select this, it will print all the sheets. So in this case, it'll flip through my whole workbook and print everything in there. And sometimes you want to do that. More often you're printing just the active sheet that you're working on, but it's your choice. I'm gonna put it back to active sheet.
Is there a way to email only one? Like when I'm sending a Excel document and I have all those sheets, but I only want to send like that one. Can you tell it to only email one tab?
I don't know a way to do that either. Yeah.
Okay.
But you could very easily pull that one sheet out and put it in a separate file.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
That's what I do. Yeah.
That's what I would do. There may be a trick to that, but I don't know that trick unless somebody else in the class does.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Sure. Let's see, we got a couple of minutes left. Let me show you a couple other things around printing. If I'm printing a big sheet like this, and let me turn off all those filters and flip it back like it was. So I'm going to go back to File, Print. It's, well, the first thing it does, it sets it to show everything. And this works, but you'd have to give a magnifying glass or maybe a microscope for somebody to read it. So you can click here to change how it scales it. And I'm going to put it to no scaling, which means just print it as it is. If I do that, it's going to take 6 pages to print it. I've got kind of the same problem I had trying to look at a big spreadsheet. And so the solution is similar. I want to set up how it's showing the information. It's a couple of things you can do. And with this one, I can see one thing I can do because the second page only has 2 rows in it. So I can probably change the formatting to move those 2 rows into here. So I'm going to go into scale, custom margins. And hello. Wow. There we go. So I'm going to make the bottom be just a 1/2 inch and make the top be a 1/2 inch. And let's see if that brings those other 2 rows in, and it does. So now I've only got 3 sheets. So everything, all the rows fit on one sheet. But now I've got my first sheet has my, it's probably a little hard to see, but this is the salesperson name and the regions. Then we start going through the months. But my second page just has months. So again, I don't know who goes with these numbers. I mean, I could print this out and then Scotch tape it together, and I've done that before. But if you don't want to do that, there's a way to essentially do the same thing we did with freezing panes. And to do that, we got to go back to the spreadsheet and go into page layout. And this is a little cryptic, but it's print title. This is where you have to go. But I've got the same options that I had before. Now, if I hadn't been able to fix my rows problems, I could have told it to lock the top row. I fixed that problem, but I still got a problem with my columns. So I want it to repeat those first 2 columns. And I can, again, just point, I could type, but it's to me, it's easier to show it what I want. So I want to lock column A and column B. And so I can print preview from here if I want to do that. It'll take me right to where I was before. So there's my first page, looks good. There's my second page. I've got my salespeople in their region, so I can keep that context all the way through all 3 pages. So I've got 3 pages that are very readable at that point. Okay. So any other questions around printing? We got.
What if you only want to print like the first half of that whole document?
You could, so just like the first set of rows, like just the first 20 rows?
Just a section of it, whatever section you want to choose.
Oh, of those 3 pages, only print like the first of those 3 pages or the second of those 3 pages?
That's correct.
Okay. I think you could do that. You know, the easiest way to do that is probably to go ahead and print it. And then when you get to printing, you can pick, and that's going to open another, they only print the second page of those 3 pages. So you can control that at the printer level, not at the Excel level. Is probably the way I would do that one. I don't know of a way off the top of my head to do it within Excel where you can tell it only send that second page to the printer. But most printers let you pick which of number of pages that it actually prints.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, all right, so we do need to go ahead. We are 5 minutes from the top of the hour, and I do have another class starting at the top of the hour. So let me go ahead to the closing. And so this is the end of the actual Excel class, and I do want to thank you for attending and hope you learned some new tips and tricks along the way. I did mention the Excel Basics class. So if there's some of these things that I mentioned that we cover in the other class, if you want to go back and pick this class up as well, this is a related class, Excel Basics. And OneDrive Basics is another Microsoft class. Excel uses OneDrive to store the spreadsheets. So if you're not familiar with OneDrive, that's another good class. In terms of classing I'm teaching a Microsoft OneNote class. So again, if you don't know about Microsoft OneNote, it's a great way to create and save and share notes. And if you haven't met Alexa, I teach an Amazon Alexa class as well. So in terms of closing, after class, there will be an email coming out. And that email has several sections. It's got a key takeaways section, which includes links to several websites. And I think I mentioned a couple of things that are in those links. So take a look at those links. It reviews some of the things we covered in class, and it has other related information that we didn't have time to cover in class. There's links to 3 other classes that you could take. And if you want to take one of those classes, just click that link. It takes you right to the registration page, makes it really easy to sign up for those classes. There's give feedback. If you click that, it brings up our feedback form. There are only 2 questions. How would you rate the session? And then how would you rate the guide? 1 to 5 stars in each case. Just click the stars you want to give. There's a place for comments, not required, but greatly appreciated. We hope you'll tell us why you gave us that rating and then click done. So it's not one of those 15-page questionnaires, very quick. The last link here is to view schedule. And if you click that, it will take you to our website where you can book another class. As you all know, I'm sure, we've changed the website recently. I hope you like the new website. We're getting lots of good feedback. It took a little while to get used to it. I want to point out a couple of things in terms of navigating it in case you haven't found them. Right in the center of the homepage, there's a View My Complete Schedule. This takes you to the list of all the classes you've signed up for. You can navigate to it by clicking schedule and then clicking my schedule. It just saves you a couple of clicks, brings you right here. And if it shows you your classes, and you can also launch from here. So if you don't have the email or would rather launch from here than from the email, you can launch classes from here. I think the easiest way to find a class, if you know what you're looking for, is to just search by keyword. There's ways here where you can browse through all of our classes, but if you know you're looking for maybe that Excel Basics class, you can just type Excel, and you only need to type usually 4 letters. Here's the Excel Basics class. So you can click that, and it will take you to the registration page for that class. You can book it here. This is new as well. If you want to tell a friend about the class, so maybe there's someone that you think would enjoy the class and you want to take it at the same time, you can just click here and you can send them a link to register for that class via Facebook, WhatsApp, or via email. So you can take it together, or maybe it's a class you've already taken and you think somebody might like to take it. So this is an easy way to get it to them, especially if they are new to get set up. So it takes them right to the registration page. They don't have to navigate around, so it helps them out. And one last thing here that people have asked for, there's an About the Guide section here, which tells you about the guide if you want to know about them. But if you want to find other classes that person teaches, and this one is my class, but this would be other classes I teach. And it shows you other classes that that person is teaching over the next 2-week time frame. So if you want to sign up for more classes from that person, it's an easy way to get to that and book another class. Okay, so we're at the top of the hour, just got finished. I do want to thank you for attending. I hope you enjoyed the class and hope to see you again in another class really soon. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thanks, Wade.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Wade.
Bye now. Bye, Todd.